Hey everyone, I'm NornQueenAlexis and welcome back to the channel and welcome to the start of our Psychic Awakening. I almost called this Phoenix Rising. The start of our Psychic Awakening lore discussion videos. In this series of videos, we're going to be reading directly from the books themselves. I know it sounds weird, but we're also going to be giving our reaction and interpretation of the lore itself as we go through this. We are starting with book 1 in this fiasco of Psychic Awakening with Phoenix Rising. So, to get through this entire series, I'm going to need a gaggle of characters with me, including my local Slaaneshi harlot, Inquisitor White.
Why'd you add the Inquisitor to it?
I don't know, that was your old nickname.
Shut up. So,
White, how are you doing?
Well, I woke up and I had a message from you saying, get in here, and you poked me with a stick, apparently.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And now you're here doing a lore discussion.
Apparently.
Next up, we have the legendary Mega Primordial Captain Jono, Stuff Stealer, Ship Crush, Head Crusher. I could keep going on, but you all know him as John.
Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm happy to be here. I just chugged an entire can of Boomer Juice, listened to the entire Doom soundtrack. I'm ready to rip and tear through this story. Woo!
And we have my loving future husband, Viggy the GM.
Sup, nerds?
Wow, really? That's your intro?
Yeah.
So, to start off this series, we are going to the story The Deathwatch, which is on page 4 of Psychic Awakening. So, Viggy, what are your thoughts going into this?
I have no idea what to expect.
All right. Good.
I honestly don't. I have no idea what this story is about.
John, your predictions?
Well, I'm hoping that your brain gets just RKO'd out of nowhere by an orc.
All right. I don't think that's quite right. White, you've read some of this story, correct?
Yeah, I skimmed it.
So what are you expecting out of all of this?
Well, I think all I can say is spoiler alert.
Yeah. Doesn't Slaanesh show up and do, like, absolutely nothing?
No, Shalaxi shows up and actually... Okay, it doesn't exactly do... It totals up to nothing, but they make it neat.
It totals up to nothing, but they make it neat. I think that is the quote for the Psychic Awakening.
It's all on the last page.
All right, so my predictions for this. Eldar die. Yvraine claps her cheeks, brings them right back to life. And yeah, they kind of just go, hey, this is dumb. Let's stop killing each other and work together. So, with that being said, Viggy, would you like to take over from here?
The Eldari psyche is a powerful weapon. It can slay a distant foe with a pulse of thought. Like any other, it must be used with skills. Since the coming of the Deathwatch, its edges grow sharper than ever before, its grip more perilous to grasp. The slightest misstep can see its wielder and even the reality in which they stand laid open and bloody. Attributed to Eldrad Ulthran. The Deathwatch. Towards the end of the 41st millennium, the galaxy was all but split in half by the Great Rift. To the Eldari, it was known as the Deathwatch, and as a highly psychically attuned race, the etheric phenomena that accompanied it affected them most of all. The Cicatrix Maledictum, that great tear across the fabric of time and space, has further divided the fractious Eldari race. After the coming of that celestial cataclysm, the Eldari craftworld sent out psychic communiques, reaching out to one another across the void. 2 of the world ships did not respond, their spiritual traces dwindling with every passing hour. Some amongst the spirit spheres of the Asriani believe that their souls have empowered Ynid, and that the craftworlders will never be seen again.
All right, so let's talk about that really quickly.
Do we not want to do the whole story in a yonk?
Nope. We said that we were going to react to each paragraph, you butt.
All right.
So, it's actually interesting to see that the Eldar are getting some attention, which is good. We expected that in this story, because it is an Eldar story after all. But I actually, I have a question. I have a question. So, the Eldari communicate long distance through psychic messages. Isn't that exactly what the Imperium does?
If it ain't
Yeah.
broke, don't break.
And also, don't they use the webway instead?
Well, it doesn't say that they use the webway. That just says that they send psychic messages.
Reach out to one another across the void.
Yeah.
And the void isn't the webway. The void is space.
To be fair, we
True.
could assume the Eldar have been doing it first.
Yeah, but it, like, my question is, do you think at any point, like, you just see, like, an astropath just sitting there going like this, hey, there's Eldar over there. How do you know? Oh, I can hear them talking.
Japanese.
Or if the Eldar do the same to the humans.
Probably.
Huh.
Just end up with a human shopping list.
Also, wait. So that's just to the Eldar, like the Atsunari, the craft worlders that talk to each other. And they say 2 fell to Unid, which means that they believe that they're dead.
Yeah.
Well, then
So, isn't that Biltan and one other?
Yeah, because we had the fracture of Bealtan, but Bealtan is mostly alive.
So, what craft worlds did die in
well,
in those 3 books? Did any?
I think I know, but I forget the name. Let me see.
Were they any of the big ones?
No, I think the big ones plot hold their way through to safety.
Like there's that one that got taken over by Genestealers.
Yeah, might be that one. Alright, next paragraph.
There's a long list of ones that got destroyed. We'll never know.
Yeah, there's a lot of background lore here about different craft worlds and everything, because that's what they're trying to do, the universe building with these stories.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, so let's go.
To an Imperium as large as to an empire as large as the Imperium, wow, this would have been considered acceptable losses, for mankind's realm contains 1,000,000 worlds and more. For the Asuryani, it was a cost so high it wrenched at the heart. Perhaps one day the last lost craft world will return, just as Altanzar was drawn from the gullet of the warp by the odyssey of the Phoenix Lord Malgun Ra. But for now, they were gone. So just showing, contrasting it with the Imperium, that's about it.
Yeah. All right, let's continue.
Far from uniting the survivors against the tide of chaos spilling into the galaxy, that great loss fomented discord, and the great rift between the factions of the Eldari grew all the wider. Simple geography was itself a contributing factor, for the craft worlds were too far scattered across the galaxy to easily unite, and even the Eldari passed through the webway, that maze of metaphysical pathways that spanned the interstice between the real space and the warp, were now battered and torn at the raging fury of the Empyrean. Though the Harlequins continued to walk the strange unrealm at will, and do what they could to unite the Asuryani and the Kamarite Drukhari in purpose, the resentment and isolationism that had long characterized the fractured Eldari race worsened. So, things be going bad.
Don't worry, the clowns are here to make it all better.
Wait, do the Drukhari even care about what the Harlequins have to say?
Yeah, they do.
Surprisingly, yes. So it's really weird that the Harlequins are one of the most respected Eldar aside from the White Seers. So, because they guard the Black Library, and they usually try to unify the Eldari race, as we're seeing here, but they also give them purpose and tell them where attack targets are. Like, the Harlequins' main goal is to keep the Eldar from, well, falling to Slaanesh.
Yeah, which, for their part, sounds alright.
Which is why they do their performances and everything, to constantly teach the Eldar. And, what is it when you have to learn something constantly in order to like fully master it?
Competition?
Practice.
No. But regardless, they show it through their performances why they shouldn't fall to Slaanesh.
So, like, if a Harlequin goes to put on a performance in Kamara, they're perfectly fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, it's been brought up in lore that sometimes they can even peacefully perform on Imperial worlds.
That's kind of neat.
And we also saw in the Psychic Awakening for this that an Inquisitor was dealing with a Shadow Seer.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
the Harlequins are extremely respected, except by the Orks. But that's the Orks, and maybe the Necrons, and probably the Tyranids.
They're probably the Nids.
You know, the usual suspects.
Yeah.
I think I've read that the Tau just think they're weird.
Well, the Tau actually... there's really no lore between the Tau and the Eldar, aside from the video games, which I think is really funny. And the Tau view them as prideful ancients, but they also view them as stupid.
That describes the Eldar.
Wait, did the Tau just okay Boomer the damn Eldar?
Yes. Yes, they do.
Like, let's try not to get off topic.
All right, let's continue with the next paragraph.
In the cultural hearts of the Eldari peoples, the wound of the Dathidaian festered in silence. No civilization could look upon a sky mauled by the warp stuff of chaos and not feel affected by it. To a race as sensitive to psychic energies as the Eldari, the scar in reality was a constant dull ache in the mind, a reminder of all they had lost. Perhaps it would never have existed at all were it not for the formation of the Eye of Terror, born from the sickening cataclysm of Slaanesh's birth. Across the galaxy, nightmares of guilt, doubt, and surging aggression racked Eldari and Drukhari alike, and they stepped themselves in battle against tides of chaos worshippers in hopes of assuaging these negative emotions. So they're being guilt-tripped by a giant warp storm.
Well, this is also interesting because it's a psychic phenomenon that's also affecting the Drukhari.
Phenomena. Sorry.
Because the Drukhari pride themselves in getting rid of their psychers and everything to do with their psychic essences. But
Yeah,
their species as a whole is still psychic.
Yeah, they repress their own psychic powers, but that doesn't stop them from being psychers all.
Mm-hmm.
I
They
mean,
can still feel.
go ahead, Mike.
It doesn't mention that the Harlequins are dealing with this.
Well,
Just
the
the Eldar in the
Harlequins-
group.
Well, they usually don't stay. Well, then again, they don't. They don't.
Yeah, they're usually
They
chilling
don't.
at
They don't go much into real space.
Mhm.
Like the Dark Eldar, the Drukhari, I should say, they go into real space a bunch, and they can. They see it there, and the craft worlds are all in real space. So, yeah.
Mhm.
It's interesting to note that the Drukhari are actually getting some lore that isn't just they're sadistic murderers.
Yeah.
They're actually feeling pain and regret.
Now they're
Yes.
guilt trip murderers, but I'm guessing it's probably to a lesser degree. I'm sure Vec doesn't feel a bit of it.
Well, it
just
doesn't
imagining-
end at the paragraph. It's we're guilty murderers. Let's go murder people to get rid of this guilt.
Yeah.
All right, let's
All right.
continue.
A new era of war began as the turmoil within was turned into merciless strikes against ancient enemies, emerging foes, and former allies. Much of the blame for the disastrous event was put at the door of the rapidly growing Ynnari movement, and by association upon Biel Tan. There, the populace have been divided between fervent support for Yvraine, the leader of the Ynnari, and the outright condemnation that followed her visitation, coinciding as it did with the subsequent invasion of the craft world by ravening Slaaneshi horde and the fracturing of its infinity circuit. Amidst that appalling catastrophe, a new strand of fate was revealed, one that some believed would lead the Eldari race to greatness once more. The being that Yvraine summoned from within Bealtan's broken wraithbone skeleton was an avatar of a sort, and its very existence was proof of Ynid having stirred from his slumber. Interesting, Ynid is he. There was a chance that the Whispering God could save their souls from She Who Thirsts once and for all.
So there's a lot there to unwrap.
Yes.
Wow.
So they're mentioning mostly the fracture of Biltan story there. It's just recounting what Yvraine did.
A lot of this story is just recap.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that I'm actually annoyed with, the fracture of Biltan wasn't just the Slaanesh.
Yeah, but they're the
Khorne was there. He participated.
Yeah,
if you read the Fracture of Biltan, Khorne is only there because of the Slaanesh demons.
Yeah, but still.
Me.
It's the Mask and Scarbrand on a whirlwind adventure.
Doing on the road trip.
Hey, take your worst enemy on a road trip with you. What's the worst that could happen?
Ensues.
Well, apparently, you end up with the summoning of an avatar of a god that is both ugly and beautiful and feeds off of dead Eldar.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, oopsie daisy. They might create another Slaanesh.
Yeah, later on in the Incarnate lore blurb, and this does say that some Eldar think, hey, you might have accidentally summoned a Slaanesh demon of some sorts.
But it is interesting to see that, as Victor pointed out, the avatar of Yanid is a guy.
Yeah.
Male pronouns. Interesting.
Yeah. It's a strange contrast against Slaanesh, whom the Eldar see strictly as female. Alright. Next part of the story. Psyche inflamed. Barring only those dark kin of Komorra, whose powers have atrophied. Oh, interesting. All Eldari possess some degree of psychic ability. Since the Great Rift split the galaxy, those gifts have burgeoned in a variety of different ways. Oh, so maybe the Drukhari are, feeling their psychic powers sort of returning-ish now that the Great Rift is in the galaxy.
Yeah, the psychic awakening, the awakening the psychics.
What?
Yeah, go figure. What? Nah.
I don't believe it.
Alright, that was a pretty short one, so...
Yep, just continue.
It is generally accepted among the Farseers of the craft world that this is a direct result of the Dathadain introducing a vast bleed of etheric energy into the galaxy. Of all the Eldari, the craft worlders are most in tune with matters psychic, and without the path system, that cultural process by which the Asuryani focuses his or her mind upon a single pursuit or skill to avoid the temptation of all others, they may have found this flare of psychic activity maddening, and possibly even disastrous. Yet the discipline of the path was developed precisely to turn the Eldari mind into a fortress against such an unfettered activity. Of all the civilizations in the galaxy, the Asuryani could be said to have ridden out the swell of psychic energy the best, for in many ways they had been ready for it. Their entire culture was built around discipline, guardianship, and self-denial to prevent their worst excesses rising to doom them all. So, yeah, that's just the... them being proven right.
Yeah, bringing up the path system is important because later on in this, they bring up the Yanari. All of them have abandoned their paths and going full on emotional. So without Yvraine, they just get gobbled up by Slaanesh essentially.
Ugh.
Fun. Well, this also begs the question: what's happening to the Corsairs? What's happening to the Exodites?
Nothing good, probably. Then again, the Exodites handle things slightly differently.
Yeah,
they have their version of Infinity Circuits, so they might be able to deal with it. It would be a shame if the Exodites aren't mentioned in this. They probably aren't.
How the Chrome Worlds are doing.
Oh, they're probably just as awful as ever.
Go ahead, White.
Well, I'm just checking something. Okay, the Exodites do get mentioned a few times in this, just checking ahead.
Oh, sweet. All right.
Mostly for the Fracture of Biltan storyline.
Oh, right. Those Asuryani who trod the witch path found their prophetic glimpses escalating into full and potent visions, magnifying their ability to parse the skeins of fate and react accordingly. On every craft world, their runes of warding burned out at a daunting rate, the protective symbols being used up almost as fast as they could be regrown from psychoreactive material. That would be Wraithbone. But for now, at least, the inner psychic threat posed by their demonic nemesis was held at bay. Alright, so, yeah, Eldred is probably more powerful now. Woo.
Yeah, he can cast 5 psychic powers.
Oh,
Screw you,
snap.
Magnus. Nah, he can cast, what, 3, I think, currently?
Only 3?
Hold on, I'm checking while you
I think the most psychic powers cast in one turn from any one unit is 4, and I think that's from, like, Mephiston and Magnus.
Alright, next one. With this influx of psychic energy came other new abilities for the Asuryani. Even those warlike souls who honed their physical skills over the mental found their talents blossoming when they brought the two into perfect balance. Aspect warriors channeled the echoes of the war god Cain and focused the resultant energies through the lenses of their glorious exarch leaders. When howling banshees charged en masse, the wind itself screamed its fury alongside them. When striking scorpions gathered in the shadowed recesses of the battlefield, they came all but invisible to the naked eye until they leapt from cover and fell upon the foe. Always the Asuryani had possessed such powers and employed them in battle, yet now they manifested in a heightened and doubly lethal form. Everywhere potential turned to talent, talent to mastery, mastery to supernatural prowess. The stage was set for a sacred phoenix of the Eldari race to rise once more.
Ooh, leading us into the next part of the story.
Yeah. So, yeah, Eldari just, hey look, now we can justify power creep.
Now we can justify power creep. Oh, that is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful.
So, sounds like the Aspect Warriors like kind of found that Zen state. Like they kind of, I don't want to say reached the next form, but like it sounds like they finally reached their kind of yin yang tranquility.
They'll probably bring up like the extra rules in this where you can give like exarchs extra abilities.
Yep, that sounds about right because they channel them through their exarchs. Which is funny because the Eldari are nothing more than samurais. Like, that's their whole path system is the way of the samurai.
Also, slightly off topic, but I checked Eldred can cast 3 powers. That if you spend a command point, he can do 4.
Yep. 4 powers from him.
Yeah.
That's insane, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine in open play, you just cast Smite from him 4 times.
Shoosh.
Smite, it's dead.
Alright.
Alright.
Now we're in the next chapter.
The ancient and the new. Some amongst the imperiled Eldari race believe they can be saved from the brink of oblivion by the awakening of Enid, the god of the dead. By harnessing the strange spirit magic of this rising deity and drawing upon the energies of the slain, they wage their crusade with exceptional vigor and aggression. It is said the Eldari pantheon is long shattered, destroyed by their mortal followers' hubris and the galactic terror that is Slaanesh. Their pride was arguably justified, for their Eldari once ruled over much of the galaxy, content that when they died they would be reincarnated. But their mastery over the material realm ultimately led to ennui, and the dangerous complacency. In their search for ever more esoteric experiences, they plumbed depths of sensation and profligacy so dark their society began to spiral out of control. Unbeknownst to that ancient race, the roiling emotions of their depravities were coalescing in the warp. There they took form as a newborn god, Slash, the dark prince of excess, known to the Eldari as she who thirsts. So this is pretty standard Eldar lore.
Oh, I've never heard this story before in my life.
Yeah.
They did slightly change a few things.
One
of my favorite lines in this whole thing is they justified their pride. That is something only a prideful being would do. Like, it's fine. We're fine. It's just, let's just keep going. We'll be reincarnated, whatever.
This story is written from their perspective, so yeah. That's the only difference in the story. It's how, if it was an Imperial retelling this, it would sound slightly different. Alright. The Ascension of Sun Ash was a cataclysm of galaxy-splitting magnitude. not quite. In a single instant, the psychic shockwave of the Dark God's birth destroyed the most part of the Eldari Empire and triggered a permanent warp storm of unprecedented size. Even now, that tempest roils between real space and the warp at the northernmost end of the Great Rift, the region known to mankind as the Eye of Terror. Within that nightmarish realm are the Crone Worlds, haunted planets that were once jewels in the Eldari Empire's crown. Again, just rehashing old lore.
It was galaxy splitting, if you recall, that caused a bunch of warp storms to cut off all the human planets from each other.
Yeah, true, but not quite as literally splitting as what's happening now.
It's maledictum, but
yeah,
it didn't cut a lot
originally the warp storms were formed by the Eldar, and then they collected into Slaanesh, which allowed the humans to start the Great Crusade.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it galaxy splitting, more like empire splitting for the Eldar.
Which was galaxy
Galactic.
Wow, details.
Look, big boom.
Big boom. Fact. All right.
Oh, also, just a quick little thing. Did you know that the Eldar knew about humanity the entire time, knew about humans spreading to different worlds and everything? They just left them alone because the worlds that they were sending them each other to were surrounded by warp storms very conveniently.
Fair enough.
Yep. Just thought I'd bring that up. Like, the Eldar were just like, they're Munkai, they're not important.
We have our justified pride.
Yeah, justified pride. They're boomers.
That went boom.
Okay, boom. The true doom of the Eldari came in a more insidious form. As the Asuryani tell it, their metaphysical cycle of reincarnation was severed by the violence of Slaanesh's birth, and gods that once ruled over them consumed. After a titanic duel with Slaanesh, Caleb and Chicane, the Eldari god of war, were shattered into 1,000 pieces. The other members of their pantheon, barring the laughing god Kekara, were devoured by the newly emergent Slaanesh. From that point on, when an Eldari died, their soul would be likewise consumed by She Who Thirsts, a destiny far worse than oblivion. There's really nothing to comment on here.
I really thought that they would mention that, Yanid got away. But they're like, no, they were all devoured. So it's like...
Yanid wasn't born yet.
Yeah, Yanid wasn't... Well, technically Yanid wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah, I guess. But still,
Like, Vol, Assyrian, Kurnos, they're all dead. Well, devoured. So, a bunch of gods were eaten.
Like Slaanesh was Alexis, simply wasn't awake yet.
Yeah.
That's convenient.
Yeah, like you can say at some point the Chaos Gods weren't awake, even though they always existed, in the same way that Yanid wasn't big enough, and the God of the Greater Good wasn't big enough.
Well, funny enough, they don't mention that Isha got snatched by Nurgle.
Yeah, true. Like, it would be nice if they mentioned that. Like, they mentioned the two gods who were, like, not eaten. That would be Cain and Kekara. But they don't mention Isha that she got away. Well, a nice hint.
Ever really done?
Yeah, alright. The various factions of the Eldari have sought ways to escape this fate, or at least allay it for a time. The Asuryani, for instance, wear psycho-crystalline waystones that act as safe havens, absorbing their souls upon moment of death. Later, these spirit stones are interned within a Craftworld's infinity circuit, allowing a soul to transfer a construct of relative safety, and from then on spend existence in a safe but lifeless grey limbo. Sounds awful.
Mm-hmm.
The Drukhari instead ensures others suffer in their stead, a devil's bargain that only postpones their inevitable consumption by Slaanesh. Small wonder that many Eldari hailing from either faction were quick to seize on the possibility that there was another way to evade their nemesis, and perhaps conquer it forever. This they called Yanid.
Now, before we get into anything else, I just want to bring up that story of the Eldar who gave a soul stone to a rogue traitor, and then when he died, the Eldar, he took over the rogue traitor's body.
By going through the soul... By putting the human soul in the soul stone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just a little lore tidbit.
Yeah. There is an ancient and controversial school of thought regarding mortality in Asuryani society, recently brought back to prominence by the prophecies of Kisaduras. I don't know how to pronounce that. Kisaduras the Anchorite. He posits that when every one of the Eldari race has died and passed into the infinity circuits of the craft worlds, their departed spirits will form a gestalt consciousness. In doing so, they will awaken and empower a god, a deity of the dead with the power to defeat Slanesh and end She Who Thirsts' baleful curse. Some amongst the Asuryani claim that though the time of ending is nigh, not all Eldari must die to escape Slanesh's clutches. Wow. Escape Slanesh's clutches. That's a mouthful. That there is a hidden path to be found amongst the darkness. Foremost among these is Eldred Ulthran, High Farseer of Craftworld Ulthwé. Of course Eldred would be involved in this.
Well, yeah,
because
it's
why
Eldred.
wouldn't he?
He's literally, aside from Yvraine, he is the plot of the Eldar.
Yeah.
Ah.
Alright, let's see what Eldred has been up to. Upon the crystal sands of the moon Coheria, Eldred put into motion the grand plan that would alter the course of his race's destiny. He does that all the time. That's like Thursday for him. Under their cover of the roving visitations, the Mask of the Midnight Sorrow, acting on the instructions of Eldred, abducted the crystallized bodies of long-departed Farseers from each Craftworld dome of crystal seers. These they took to Coheria, for Eldred had identified the moon as a site of extreme psychic potential. This is from...
Deathwatch. Deathwatch.
Yeah,
the, not Overkill, but the other one.
The other Deathwatch box.
Yeah.
Well, the story that was there. By harnessing Coheria's pure crystal sands and using each grain as a miniature spirit stone, Eldar intended to perform a grand ritual, wherein he would summon every departed spirit from every craftworld at the same time. Oof, ambitious. The stolen Farseers remained would provide potent hyperspatial links, though the transfer would rob all power and light from the donor craftworlds for a time. Eldred judged the sacrifice worthwhile. With such a vast concentration of departed souls in one place at one time, the High Farseer intended to awaken Inid prematurely and set him against the Eldari's eternal nemesis. So we can just say ahead of time that this fails, because Deathwatch.
It doesn't exactly fail, though. So at the end of the...
go all the way.
Yeah, at the end of the Deathwatch book, he does successfully do it.
Well,
it's just kind of half-assed.
Yeah, they say exactly what happens in the next paragraph.
Oh, fair enough. Perhaps if Eldred's machinations had been completed, he would have succeeded in his immensely ambitious plan. But the elite Xenos hunters of the Deathwatch had followed the actions of the Ulthwéans for many years. Led by the prescient brother Captain Artemis, nice mention, they launched a sudden strike against Eldred and his allies just as he was conducting his grand ritual. Forced to protect himself from a Syrian plasma blast, the High Farseer lost focus. In the swirling tides of the warp, the composite sentience of a slumbering Inid stirred, but did not awaken. From that partial apotheosis, a fragment of the greater consciousness was born, an animus that soon possessed a warrior dancer known as Yvraine. She became the high priestess of a new religion, and has since led her followers across the stars, uniting Asuryani and Drukhari behind her as she goes.
So the box set is called Death Mask.
Ah, there we go.
It's okay. Eldred and a bunch of Harlequins versus the Deathwatch.
Nice.
I like the fact that they mentioned Brother Captain Artemis.
Yeah. he is a Deathwatch named character.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have a plasma pistol?
Yeah, I think he does have a plasma pistol, so he's the one that wounded Eldred.
Yeah.
Tried to wound Eldred.
Pew.
Get pewed.
And then Yvraine shows up.
Yo, Warrior Dancer, all I'm saying is that is definitely not the inspiration for Rosalina from the Queen's Court series.
Right.
Isn't Rosalina older than that?
Are we gonna delve into this?
When did Death Mask come out? Hold on. When did Fall of Cadia come out?
Oh, what, like start of 7, so 3 years ago.
Isn't Queen's Court about as old?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. After becoming invested with Ynid's power, Yvraine became able to draw the departing souls of those around her into herself, where they live on, not as half-real revenants or echoes of a former glory, but as willing allies. To outsiders, it seems as if Yvraine is talking to herself, listening to voices only she can hear, or changing personality in a heartbeat. Those who do not know of her creed think her insane, but the Ynnari know the truth. Yvraine's body harbors not just her own soul, but many others. Let's see. The Reborn, who follow Yvraine's lead, the devoted warrior known as the Visarch and the dread avatar known as the Incarn, foremost among them, share her uncanny ability. They wear the spirit stones of the dead upon their person, drawing upon the energy and wisdom of the departed in times of need. With the doom of the Eldari close at hand, their need for that deathly strength is greater than ever before. And there is a Visarch quote here. It's mostly Eldari speak and doesn't actually mean much. Let's see. The tapestry of fate has been wrenched, torn, and unraveled, just as Wadariakna tore at her woven masterwork in a fit of madness. The question remains, in such time of upheaval and unpredictability, can new strands of hope be found? It's jibber-jabber of Eldari.
You know, again. I love that you say that as like an Imperial scholar.
Yeah,
it's just jibber jabber. That doesn't mean anything. Could be the salvation of their entire species. It's nothing.
Doesn't mean crap.
Oh, just one quick tidbit on the Visarch. The Visarch is the person who trained in life. The Visarch was the person who trained Yvraine.
Yeah.
I think it was her.
Is he a Dark Eldar?
No, he's an Eldari. He's a Craftworld.
Oh.
Yeah, he's not a warlock?
No, I don't think so.
I can't remember what he was.
I'm going to skip ahead to his lore bit.
Alrighty.
Alright. Then we get a map of the galaxy, which shows all the craft worlds. And the only thing that I'm interested in is once again the three Segmentum Obscurus sectors, which is Calixis, Scarus, and Finial, and the only one that's missing to the right of those is Ascalon. It doesn't show up on the map.
You and Dark Heresy.
Yeah, which gives me which gives me the ability to do with Ascalon whatever I want, because nobody else is going to do anything.
Okay, so looking at the so it doesn't say precisely what aspect warrior he was, just that he was an Exarch. But judging from his model and how it said that Yvraine was going to be a Dire Avenger, I think he was a Dire Avenger.
Yep, that would make sense.
Fair enough.
One.
So, looking back at this, one thing that really stood out to me, just kind of now that we're at the next section, is the fact that Eldrad, they use the word abducted, not requisitioned, requested, bartered with, or, laid claim to. Abducted. Like, put them on a milk carton, they're missing. Like, it sounds like he took those crystal farseers without the consent of the craft worlds in which he was taking them from.
Yeah, and
don't put out an Amber Alert. They're already dead.
Pretty much.
Like it gets brought up in Dawn of War 3 that abducting a Farseer like this is a cause for war between craft worlds.
Yeah.
And he stole, what, 6 of them?
Yeah.
He said from all the major ones, so that's more than 6.
Oof.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 12 major craft worlds.
And who knows what happened after the Deathwatch showed up.
Yeah, the Deathwatch probably took the remains.
Maybe.
I'm going to try and look up the story for this set.
Hey guys, I know a perfect vault that we could keep these in. We keep having visitors to it, though. It's weird.
Yeah, strange about that.
Alright, so, are we ready to get into the Hunters Unleashed?
Yes. The ripples of causality, confusion, and desperate hope that spread throughout Eldari society caused waves of raw emotion to be reflected in the realm of chaos. Slaanesh, attuned like no other to the echoes of the Eldari soul, peered through hooded eyes at the shifting destiny of that ancient race. and began to plan anew.
Slaanesh planning. Interesting.
Interesting.
It happens a lot.
How Siege. Though all the Eldari loathed and feared Slaanesh, the god they knew as She Who Thirsts had a deep spiritual connection with the Eldari, and it longed for their souls upon their death. So it was the rise of the Inari did not escape Slaanesh's notice. The god of the dead they worshipped, and the lack of vitality it represented, was anathema to Slaanesh. Here was a newly rising, morbid god that could steal the delicious soul fodder of the Eldari from Slaanesh once and for all.
Oh god, I just realized. Yanid is essentially the Emperor.
Kind.
A dead, boring, lifeless husk that feeds on the souls of their own people.
Yeah.
Yay, Emperor!
Woo.
Except the Emperor, he protect.
Yeah, he attack, he protect.
But most
importantly, he snack.
He step on snack.
He step on snack.
No, he snack. Damn it.
Nope, step on snack.
I think that's what he did to the void dragon.
So, Slaanesh be mad, yo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just imagining, okay, here's what I'm imagining from this. Slaanesh is just sitting there, like, watching them, and she's like, I can't wait to take all of their delicious souls. This is going to be so... Wait, what? What do you mean they just made a new god? You can do that? Since when? And then...
Look, Slaanesh looks at self.
They did
and
it
then
again.
Looks at the new god. He's ugly. His outfit doesn't match.
No,
Dude's a goth. Actually, that's kind of hot.
Half of him is ugly. Remember that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Like, I'm just imagining Slaanesh just looking at it like, looks over to Zinj. Do you have anything to do with this? Zinj is like, I didn't see this coming. I didn't see this coming. Maybe I did, but possibly I didn't. But definitely maybe something that I did do. I'm not even sure anymore.
It's like when you're at the drive-thru, the employees about to hand their bag to you, and a Sneagle just snatches it out of nowhere.
Wait, does he mean the god of the dead is literally Dikembe Mutombo, just slaps it out of her hand? No, not in my house.
Yes. And I'm just imagining Slaanesh is like, all right, you know what? Zinj, I got a plan. I'm going to go hit on it. I'm going to get it to fall in love with me, and then it's going to give me all those souls. Yeah, this is perfect. Zinj is like, I wouldn't do that, but I possibly would. But I don't advise it, but it could be cool. So definitely, probably, maybe do that. And then Slaanesh is like, sure. Goes over, tries to hit on it. And it's just like that. It's like hitting on Victor, where he has no emotion whatsoever. So he's just like, hello. Do you want to play some Dark Heresy? And I'm all like, hey, Victor, I love you. Can you just embrace me for a little bit while, you know, just talking about things? And let's go see a movie and hang out and just cuddle. I'm going to play some Dark Heresy.
Roll for charm.
And Slaanesh is just sitting there, like, goes back. Cord, do you want to just beat this thing's ass? Cord is like, nah, this is too funny. I'm too busy watching you just get roasted. Nurgle is sitting there like, you know, you could just try kidnapping her. Or him. Worked for me. Anyway, let's get back to this.
This potential had already been proven beyond a doubt upon Bealtan, where the demonic evasion and subsequent shattering of the Infinity Circuit had not yielded the feast of sweetmeats Slaanesh had hoped for, but a dry, dusty feeling of absence. Instead of empowering the Dark Prince, all that bountiful zonal energy had been given form as the Incarn, avatar of the Whispering God. Upon the crone world of Belial IV, that same morbid entity had banished a coven of keepers of secrets with an ancient crone sword. Even the high priestess of this slumbering god had committed soul theft, a crime that no true god could endure. Yvraine had become a walking mausoleum, harboring hundreds of those spirits Slaanesh craved so deeply. The Dark Prince desired to devour her and the Incarn more than any other prey.
Damn seagulls.
Caw. So if we are being given insight into what Slaanesh is thinking, if it can be considered thinking, this kind of, puts puts to rest the whole, the Incarn is just Slanesh again.
Oh,
I think the bigger problem is that they refer to like the Eldar souls as, and I quote, a feast of sweetmeat.
Eh,
yeah. I wouldn't say exactly puts it to rest, because A, they bring it up after this, and B, it's made from a bunch of souls from an infinity circuit that got tainted by chaos.
but the fact that Slanesh considers it a separate thing.
It's definitely a separate thing, but maybe separate in the way that like Cain was separate from corn. We'll try not to get into this because I might yell about it for like an hour, and then Riley's just going to show up out of nowhere.
With the steel chair.
Riley with the RKO from nowhere.
Well, in all fairness, demons are given some semblance of free will from their masters.
Sorta-ish.
Like the mask, for instance, is created by Slanesh, but has a separate will from Slanesh, and has even disappointed Slanesh.
That's what they think.
Anyway, next paragraph.
There was an
opportunity, but whatever.
There was opportunity for Slanesh in the twisting tides of fate. Many Asuryani, and even self-serving Drukhari, had converted to the cause of Enid. In embracing Enid, they were casting aside the shields of self-denial that had served them so well for so long. It was true that should every one of the Eldari give themselves to Enid, the Whispering God would awaken, and Slanesh's power be broken. But Yvrain and the Incarn... But should Yvrain and the Incarn be hunted down and slain, Enid's tenuous existence would fade into allegory. The Eldari that had stepped away from their precious paths would not reach the afterlife of Enid at all upon their deaths, but instead topple from their tight ropes of self-discipline to plummet into the waiting maw of Slanesh.
That is a quandary, a quagmire, and just an ultimatum. It's literally all or nothing. You either all convert and go with this god, but it's just a little gamble with your soul.
Oh,
yeah,
it literally says that like you can go with this god, but if you do, and the people leading your little cult die, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because knowing all of this, you could understand why Yvrain brought back Guilliman.
Yeah, kinda.
Because, and here's my thought, Yvrain now has the best muscle in the entire galaxy at her beck and call, and literally, Guilliman can't deny that booty.
It is true. Like that booty do kill a man. But yeah, like if the entire existence of your race hinges on your survival, having like one of the most violent, like warlike races in the galaxy at your back, not a bad idea.
What, the first one being the Orks?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the Orks, the Nids, or the Imperium. Choose wisely.
Well, that's the thing. Like, the Tyranids aren't warlike in that sense.
Yes, they are.
Like, they're not hungry for war, like war hungry like the Imperium.
Quite literally, they are. They're just hungry.
Yeah, they're just hungry.
But
like, I don't think war is even a concept for them.
That aside, having a group of what they would consider lesser beings, but still able to negotiate peace treaties with, and be able to openly converse with, seems a lot better than some orcs, which were genetically bred to be their bodyguards.
Look how that turned out.
Well, that's older lore that's no longer, like, upkept to current edition.
I mean, it can have been true, but just not anymore.
Yeah. Because I think after, second edition, they stopped the concept of the orcs as a bodyguard race.
I mean, yeah, but it can't, the orcs could always have just devolved.
No, the orcs are not devolving. They're literally making intergalactic spaceships out of everybody's technology.
No, that's not what I meant. Like, devolving from their original purpose.
Wouldn't that be evolving from their original purpose?
Not necessarily.
In Prophets of the Wall, it's called derivation. Like, they derivated from the original Quarks.
Yeah.
Quarks were the bodyguard.
And orcs are just what happens when they sort of just are left to do their own thing.
More importantly, like yes, your brain could definitely trust Gilliman and the Imperium much more than she could the Greens.
I mean, greenskins don't even trust greenskins.
Yeah, like wouldn't it be hard for Snitch to have some sort of scheme to, pit the Orks against the Eldar if they tried working together? She does that kind of crap all the time in AOS, but
yeah, and the Imperium has their faith to protect them, so they're like the perfect tag team with the Eldar.
So it's just interesting with this power dynamic between both of these pinnacle people. These two people lead everything, and that is Yvraine leading the Eldar, the Ynnari, and Gilliman leading the Imperium. Because if either one of them fall, that's huge. The Imperium will not recover from Gilliman falling again.
Probably not. But it is funny that you would say top people and not mention Dante. Just throwing that out there.
No, Dante is the underling. Dante and Azrael are the underlings of Gilliman.
Yeah.
He's the two people he trusts most because it's literally Sanguinius and the Lion.
Fair. Except I would argue that Azrael is doesn't even come close to Dante.
Not in terms of destructive power, but in terms of leadership, there's none better than those two for their race.
Right. The next paragraph I like because it brings in interesting fluff that I think White will be able to comment on way more. There was one creature in Slaanesh's employ that specialized in the killing of demigods and avatars. That being was Shalaxi Hellbane, the monarch of the Hunt. Banished from living memory some 600 years ago by the demon hunters of the Grey Knights, Shalaxi had languished for centuries in the vast and sprawling palace of punishments. Didn't know that was a thing. Now, with the atonement for that past failure at an end, it was time for the greater demon to rise once more, enter real space, and slay the prophets of Unid. In doing so, Hellbane would earn the favor of the Dark Prince once more.
And apparently a phone.
Basically, another way of explaining why Shalaxi Hellbane hasn't shown up till now.
Yeah.
Not just
that means that back in 300 M41, she was kicking about. Oh wait, no, that's not true. This is 200 years after the Indomitus crew, after M41.
Well,
so this would be
this is before the Indomitus. Where we are in the timeline, Gilliman is still dead. Katie is still around. All that. Actually, maybe not Katie, but
in Psychic Awakening.
Yeah, Psychic Awakening took place before the Indomitus Crusade, apparently.
Oh, I did not know this. All right, fair enough. So it is so it's around 341.
As far as I can see, the Psychic Awakening the beginning of it takes place before, then the middle is during, and then the end is where they are now.
All right.
But I also have reason to believe that each of these Psychic Awakening books is going to be a 3-part series. Begin, middle, and end.
Right, so 3 books per part. Right.
In preparation for the next paragraph, I'm grabbing my Hedonites Battle Tome because there's some fluff about Shalaxi that they don't bring up, but I'll always have it at the ready.
Yeah, well, it depends how much of it is.
Well, it actually start to mention it, but they keep it abridged.
Oh, okay.
Just how sentences work.
Yeah. After gathering many old allies, amongst them the vengeful symbiote Silesk and a coterie of Slaaneshi heralds, Hellbane entered the webway. 36 fiends trilling in delirious joy behind the war party. The hunt was on. With Shalaxi's synesthetic ability to blend a supernatural array of senses, Yvraine's soul trail was soon picked out. Shalaxi's looping stride accelerated into a headlong sprint, one that did not slow over time nor halt for rest, for when the will of their patron was behind them, demons do not tire. Dark dreams began to haunt Yvraine's nights. So, she be hunted.
Yeah, because in regards to that synesthetic ability to, blend the senses, it mentions in the battle tome that the hunter can see fear as a misting cloud, detect the scent of a spell before it is cast, hear the shearing sound of a mortal's life thread being cut away, or taste the taint of cowardice as if it were bitter citrus on the tongue, and just a bunch of stuff like that. Like, she see emotions, or it.
I can see, smell.
Literally.
Fair enough.
What I'm hearing is she has smell-o-vision.
Yes.
I guess with all the antennas on its head are for.
Ah. Interesting fluff. Didn't actually know that.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. It was upon the dead world of Threkia that Hellbane launched its first vicious attempt upon the Eldari prophet's life. Yvraine was traveling in the company of a war host of Bealtan, braving a dash along a chain of webway gates that leapfrogged in quick succession across the executed plains of the Kursai Reach. Hellbane's ambush struck with blistering speed, just as the Eldari host was exiting one such wraithbone portal into a rocky valley of lifeless dust and wind-scoured statues.
Because, like, Shalax, you'll basically always know where your brain is. Like, Shalax can track demons.
Damn. Alright. 2 spearheads of Slaaneshi demons swept down from the high passes above the valley, one encircling the rear of Bealtan, while the other swept around their fore. Secret chariots rattled headlong into the Asuryani, their assault so swift that even the whip-quick craft-worlders could not respond in time. Blood and spinning limbs flew as their sleek war engines drove deep into the Bealtan formation. This is classic battle scene description stuff. No.
But, like, them secret chariots just spiky. You ever try to store one?
I have not.
I've had a Hellflyer literally cut apart my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because I dropped it.
Is why my jacket doesn't have sleeves at the end anymore. It's just been torn to shreds.
Yep, sounds about right.
Damn.
A sleeve shredder.
Let's see. The narrow webway routes the Asuryani followed had prevented them from fielding grav transports. They were thus forced to cut their way out of the ambush on foot. To these faithful Ynnari, Yvraine's life was paramount. Yeah, it kinda is.
Yeah.
As Hellbane cut an unstoppable red path towards the Prophet, the host's Farseer divided his forces. Screaming their dirge song, a spearhead of howling banshees joined Yvraine in performing a dance of lashing blades that slid a neat hole in the demonic ranks and allowed them to dash up the valley towards the next webway portal. At the same time, the main strength of the Bealtan host hurled themselves at the Slaaneshi demons. It was a suicidal attack, and Hellbane ripped its way through the Eldari at a ferocious rate. Yet their wary deaths empowered Yvraine even as they proved the devotion of the Ynnari to their cause. Lent impossible speed by the dead souls flowing into her mortal vessel, Yvraine outstripped even the Slaaneshi demons, escaping into the webway and leaving Hellbane raging in her wake. It had been a desperately near thing, but the Prophet of Ynid had escaped her hunter, at least for now. Hellbane would not be denied forever, however. That's a strange way to write it.
Well, because, like, Hellbane does show up later in this book.
Fair enough. There's a little sidebar. You want me to read that?
In just a second, let's talk about this first. So, just gonna say, I'm just imagining, like, every single one that dies, your brain is just, like, gaining XP, glows gold, level up, destroys the Slaaneshi demons. And
Well, like Afara says, she got superpower, then just Naruto ran out of there.
I know. Oh my god, she's literally, like, casting a spirit bomb through the entire thing, then Naruto running away while dabbing through the portal.
Okay. And also, that little lore tidbit on the side is actually important, so we probably should read it.
Yeah. Alright. The Eldar Legend speaks of 5 ancient swords that, when gathered together, bear a terrible and macabre power over death itself. It is a well-known myth that Morai Heck's screaming daughters hounded the war god Cain until he agreed to cut off her hand, thereby allowing the crone to partake of her own blood and the knowledge held within it. Few know the more obscure chapter that followed that myth, the tale that 5 deadly blades were forged, one from each of the crone's talons, and strewn across the ancient Eldari Empire as a defense against the final doom of their race. These swords were thought lost, but they are very real. When she first set upon her quest, Yvraine harbored hopes that she could gather those 5 blades, and so forge a chance to awaken Ynede without having to usher her species to the brink of extinction. It was Shalaxi Hellbane that shattered that hope, tormenting the fleeing Yvraine with a waking vision of the last Crone Sword. The blade had been plucked from Belial IV and spirited deep into Slaanesh's dark palace. In that moment, Yvraine knew in her heart that the vision was true, and the path of the blades was now closed to her. There was but one way now to defeat Sheath Uthirsts.
So they're
I mean,
the current sword storyline.
Yeah.
I mean, they could pull a Stormcast Eternals and just send some Grey Knights to go get it.
Okay, a knight did go to Slash's palace. It didn't work out.
Yeah, a knight. Let's send like 7 of them.
In all fairness, it
isn't about fighting your way through. It's just a complete test of willpower.
So, hear me out. Last time Greyfax went into the warp into Slaanesh's domain, she brought
It was
5...
Nurgle's domain, I think. Or was that...
No,
was it Yvraine that went there?
Yvraine went to Nurgle.
Oh, right.
Yeah, in Hand of Darkness or Eye of Night, I can never remember the two, but the one with Greyfax and the 5 strike squad, I think a strike force of Grey Knights, along with Greyfax, could probably make it.
Maybe.
Or they'd probably just get a sword, they'd get the Crone Sword, bring it back, and it would just be a corrupted demon weapon. Because that sounds like a much better story.
Be a good way to kill off Khaldor Drago, or like do something with him.
Oh my god, they really need to kill off Khaldor Drago.
How long has this video been going?
About an hour, but we're going to keep going.
Well,
The fates of the craft worlds. The Asunari world ships were caught in the teeth of the tempest that was shaking the cosmos. Some amongst them were steering through the storm and guiding their people to a place of relative safety. Others faced dark fates, or were forced to adapt to near constant war by the strife heralded by the death of Dion. After the Ynnari's desperate resurrection of Prince Yrel turned defeat into victory during a demonic attack upon the craft world Eondon, they made haste to Macragge, there to bolster humanity's shield against the scourge of chaos. From there they defended a clutch of worlds from the scourge of chaos, but always they were on the lookout for more, Eldari sympathetic to their cause. On the proud...
No, that's actually interesting, because it tells you why the Eldar are actually going towards... are actually going to Macragge. Like, instead of just... Oh yeah, we decided to just go there because, well, Gathering Storm needed us. So... Also, the interesting thing is they protected worlds. They never said that they were Eldari worlds.
They just went to Macragge to, bolster the humanity shield against chaos, then defended a clutch of worlds from the scourge of chaos again, because they can't come up with words to describe chaos.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see that the Eldar were defending more than likely human worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend, I suppose.
I mean... Macragge had to deal with it. Macragge is still... Not Macragge. The Ultima Segmentum is still dealing with the Tau. They haven't fully committed to them yet. And if you go by the Great Crusade lore, they're technically peaceful in a way. So if you can make treaties with them, they might become, in the future, a more accepted species of alien. Like the Jakaro.
That's, the only problem is that for everything they do to, make humanity like them, they pull something dumb. Because later in this book, to deal with chaos-corrupted governors on a planet, Craftward Oathway used, I forget the name of the weapons, but basically, emotion-altering weapons to make a bunch of the people on the planet, including innocents, commit suicide. And then the Imperium went after them.
Yeah, not the best. But you know what?
Okay.
It's baby steps.
Baby steps.
It's like,
Yeah,
you know, a baby takes one step and it's like, hey, we resurrected your Primarch. Hey, we protected a couple of worlds. And then like falls down and cracks its skull open on the staircase and you're just like, oh, you tried.
You're just not ready yet.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
All right.
Team up would be insane, though.
All right.
Let's see. On the proud craft world of Samhan, Yvrain found no small number of converts. The world ship had been sorely pressed since the coming of the Great Rift. At the height of the Blood Crusade, it had sent 5 entire clans to hold back the gore-maddened Red Tide on Upsilon, securing a fraught victory before disappearing to leave the planet's human survivors shaken and confused behind them. At the same time, the Craftworld's fleet had fought void battles against Imperial Navy ships and elements of Abaddon, the Despoiler's Armada.
So again, this is the Eldar going like this. Hey, we saved you, but not really. We're going to attack this Imperial ship now. Why? Oh.
Not familiar. What's the Blood Crusade?
So basically, no, it's in the core rule book, but I can't find it. No, basically, it was a big old bunch of Khorne worshippers, demons, beastmen that went on a big rampage across a bunch of worlds. And eventually, they got engaged in a 3-way battle between Blood Crusade, Tyranids, and Orks. Eventually, the Nids and the Orks beat the Blood Crusade, I think.
That's hilarious.
Well, I mean, we're an unstoppable group of angry idiots. So are we. So are we.
Like, I'll just look for that one.
Load Stocko with malicious intent.
Let's see, where the heck is that in this damn
White
book?
salivating jowls with malicious intent.
What the hell?
Right. But, just the team up, like, can you imagine, like, striking scorpions and Deathwatch fighting off against, like, saving a craft world from Necrons?
Heck yeah.
That would be cool. Also, can we just mention that... Oh, look, there's the Necrons here. They are mentioned in here. I was curious about that.
Were you about to say they haven't been mentioned yet?
Yeah.
You blight.
Like the Orks, the Tyranids, the other Eldar, the Imperium, Chaos, everybody's included except the Necrons, because it's only fun if you exclude somebody.
And then Necrons out of nowhere with the steel chair.
The living metal chair.
Jeez.
And their goddamn Pokemon.
Pokemans.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they treat their Satan like Pokemon. They keep them in giant capsules.
Fantastic.
And they have to capture them. Alright, are you ready to read the next part?
Yep. At first, Yvrain's call to arms was seen as the last thing the seers and chieftains of the craft world needed. It risked a schism, dividing their clans, for tempers on Samhan had always run hot. A council was convened at the Speaking Place, a tribal hub in the midst of one of the craft world's wilderness zones. Beneath the shimmering vault of a colossus biodome, they talked of ancestors, spirits, and futures yet to be. For a while they found accord around the ever-burning fires of that place. Then the sky shimmered above the conflagration, and the Drakari strike force burst from the Wedway gate long forgotten. Their intent was to slay Yvrain with a swift, decapitating strike. The Drakari's blades did not find their mark, for none other than the Phoenix Lord Jane Zar appeared to meet them in battle. The peace dogs turned into fierce battle in moments, and the Ynnari were first to flee.
Okay, so can we talk about this for a sec? They're sitting down in their bio-cities, okay? Alright, so they're chilling in their bio-cities, and they're like, alright guys, I gathered you here today because we need to kill Yvrain. Why? Oh, it seems like a good idea. Okay, let's go after her. Hey, look, there she is. Wow, that's convenient. Let's go fight her. And then the Dukari are all like, we got this. And then Jinzara's all like, nah, you don't, fam.
Oof.
So,
Like Drakari are going after Yvrain because, since, more Eldar are following her, that's threatening the power of the Archons, and also they're not a whole fan of that potential, afterlife of torment if she gets killed while they're following her. Ooh, and just to add to the Blood Crusade one more time, because I finally found the entry in the book. On the Khorne side, it include a bunch of demons like Scarbrand and Doombreed, and the Orks were actually being led by Ghazghkull, and the Tyranids had the Swarmlord.
The Tyranids show up with a mutated Hive Tyrant. This is our character. Both of them look, and it's like, you can't just have your OC as your main character. Create a character.
God damn it.
But Swarmlord. Yeah, okay, whatever. You can take the Swarmlord. Yay!
Apparently how it went was like, Khorne stuff shows up, Tyranids show up, Orcs show up, they all fight. Orcs and Tyranids beat Khorne. Khorne's about to send another force in there. Tzeentch says, nah, maybe you shouldn't. And Khorne's like, yeah, maybe you're right.
Don't worry, I got this. Khorne, Tzeentch. Nah, you actually don't. Like, come on. Pull it back. Let them fight. You still gain power from them fighting. Just let them fight. And Khorne's like, oh, come on, it looks like a good fight, though.
Also, John, I think you'll be amused by this. When, listing, the number of warbands and such, for Orcs under Grot Hordes, it just says lots with a Z.
Oh, fantastic.
Back on topic. Back.
Yeah, back to the Eldar.
Back to building up the Blood of the Phoenix box set.
Right. And so Janzar just kind of appeared. Again, the weird words is appeared. Does Janzar just manifest like that, or how does that work?
You just clap your hands and bring an elf into existence.
But actually, if I recall, Janzar was, seeking out your brain to protect her, because she just kind of showed up at the right moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, Janzar is a sympathizer for the Ynnari.
Then the Lord Janzar arrived.
If I recall, she was also at Bealtown when that went down.
I believe so.
Yeah, she's just been kind of with your brain, I think.
I don't think she was at Cadia, though. Or Cadia's moons.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So, now we know why the Howling Banshees and Janzar were fighting the Drukhari. So let's continue the story.
So yeah, all in all, Drukhari trying to kill your brain, but they can't because Janzar in the way. What will they do?
Meantime, the craft world of Alituk was preoccupied with its own mission and agendas, even with the sky stained with the lifeblood of the cosmos and the signs of chaos appearing in nigh every vision and prophecy. The Puritan leaders of the world ship espoused their long-held belief that it was the Necrontyr who posed the galaxy's greatest threat, or the greatest threat to the galaxy at large. They had scried the unraveling threads of the future in their own way, and found a geometric void that threatened to swallow all. Alituk's foremost visionary, Yolok Shai, had written the prophecies of risen doom whilst half-conscious in a fever dream. The intensity of the vision all but crippling her, though it had taken her a lifetime to isolate the strand of potential that led her to her worst nightmare. She had found it just the same, and it was a shocking potency. Shai had brought her latest findings to the Seer Council of Alituk, singing of the sea of dead stars at the climax of the hearing. Sobered by the vista she painted, they accelerated their plans to allay the threat of the Necrons before their ancient enemies fully awoke. Even though they drastically weakened their craftworld's defenses as a result, in doing so, they destroyed the Harek dynasty on the very day of its ascension, killing the Necrons with systematic overlapping strikes while they still clawed their way from their slumber of stasis. With the Pathfinder Illic Nightspear as their ambassador, they dealt extensively with the Harlequins of the Frozen Stars, whose agenda allied with their own. In doing so, they found that they had but scratched the surface of a far larger threat.
Hey guys, the Necrons are a threat. Nuh-uh.
So, Alexis, I bet you're wondering this, so I double-checked while John was reading this. Yolok Shai woman, that is the Eldar that you did the reading of the prophecy for.
Yeah, I figured.
So they're all the Necrons are the greatest threat to the galaxy, but the Necrons are all no, it's the Tyranids.
So, I guess my question here, and this is going to sound kind of bad, What is the relevance of this to the overarching story?
Well,
What do the Necrons and Ali Took have to do with anything about the what Yvraine and all them were doing?
So the next paragraph basically says why. It's literally while they were going after the Necrons, Sun Ash showed up.
Hi. It's like a crazy ex-girlfriend when you're trying to see your best friend. You just see them across the street Or in my case, my crazy ex-boyfriend.
Right.
Oh.
She's just sitting there, Slash just sitting there eating an apple. So, all right, we ready?
Yep.
Even as they fought the Necron tier on a dozen new fronts, the strike force Valley Took were ambushed by the Terror Legions of the Slanesh Greater Demon Slitha.
Yeah.
The Demon Monarch intended to strike at Valley Took whilst it was vulnerable, yet found that the information network provided by the Craft World's Ranger cliques made it all but impossible to execute. Every time Slitha sent steed-riding demonettes on a mission of reconnaissance, they were picked off by pinpoint sniper fire that banished them back to the Empyrean before they could report back to their masters. With the Pathfinders of Valley Took leading their rangers in dozens of wars across the Imperium Secundus, or Imperium Sanctus, that region of the Imperium that remained upon the Terran side of the Great Rift, and was still illuminated by the light of the Astronomicon. The main body of Craftworld Ali Took was left free to take the fight to the Necrons in the Eastern Fringe.
So, like I said, they got Necrons. Sun Ash shows up, then doesn't, and then they're back to fighting Necrons.
So the cool thing about this is they still refer to the Necrons as Necron tier.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm gathering from this.
The funny that they call the Great Rift rather than the Dathadayan in the spit. Dathadayan.
Yeah, that is weird. It almost is like this part of the story was written by somebody else.
Probably.
All right.
Yeah, it's also one of those things just to mention they just dumpstered the daggum Daemonettes. They were so well planned for this that it's just they were getting picked off by snipers. The trees started speaking Eldar.
They splat them 8, so the demons simply couldn't find them.
Which is interesting to note, because demons not being able to find somebody when they're on a metaphysical plane is crazy to think about.
Well, it is possible to hide on a psychic level. There are examples of Slanesh demons doing it, with Ali Tuck being, the ranger-focused craft world. I imagine they'd be extra sneaky.
Yeah. Yeah, they would.
That is true.
All right, let's continue this.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Here we go. Craftworld BL10 had its face intrinsically linked with the precarious rise of the Inari. Since the sundering of the Wraithbone endoskeletons that formed its infinity circuits, the moon-sized Eldari world ship had slowly broken up into its constituent parts. Now BL-10 was more a fleet than a single ship, its strength almost halved by the turmoil that started upon the corrupted paradise world of Ursula. They had reached the point of civil war by their fracture and the division that Yvraine had brought onto them. For a good portion of those lost to BL-10 had followed her lead to become Ynnari, further worsening the already reeling Craftworld situation.
So, interesting thing about this is, hey, they fractured a damn craft world, and instead of exploding or blowing up like a normal spaceship or imploding or anything, it just Voltroned its way into 5 ships.
Yeah, because they can just shape the Wraithbone afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Also, I'm reading ahead a bit, and I am disappointed that when they bring up for the Fractured BL-10 storyline, when demons fought the Exilites, they don't mention demons fighting dinosaurs like in the BL-10 book. Meh.
Demons fighting dinosaurs.
I'd watch it.
So would I. That actually sounds amazing.
Jeez.
All right, let's continue this.
Self-belief was their salvation, a quality that their remaining Esenari held as one of the highest of all virtues. Its people, fierce optimists, one and all, believed the Eldari Empire would rise like a phoenix from the wastes, or from the ashes of near extinction. BL-10 was soon to show its strength, making a virtue of its ability to spread its power across a wider area than ever before.
So their ship broke apart into like different segments, and they're just like, all right, peace, and just went to 5 different parts to do 5 different wars at once instead of just one.
They have the power of optimism.
To be fair, in 40k, that's probably one of the greatest traits.
I mean, hell, Celestine is driven by hope, so...
Hope is just fancier optimism.
Hey, now we know why the talks between Fulgrim and Eldar during the Horus Heresy fell out. They were arguing over who gets to use Phoenix as a metaphor.
It's our race. We're older than you. Yeah, right, you pompous boomer.
Yeah, but I wore it better.
Literally wore it.
That's funny. Alright, so we ready?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
During the Chaos invasion of the trio of Exite worlds known as the Three Sisters, BL-10 was led to war by 3 of the legendary Phoenix Lords, Baroth, Fugen, and Karandros. Oh, these names. Both Baharoth and Fugen were welcomed with fierce joy for the coming of but one of Asirin's pupils was cause for intense celebration, let alone 2. But when Karandros revealed himself mid-battle upon Khazar, to cut a bloody swath through the wedge of demon cavalry, a ripple of unease undercut the Asinari's feeling of jubilation at his arrival. It was prophesied that at the time of the Ranadandra, the final apocalyptic battle against Chaos would spell the doom of everyone and everything. All 6 Phoenix Lords would fight together. Would 3 become 6, showing that the time of ending to be close at hand?
Huh. Now,
that's really cool.
So if I remember correctly, those 3 Phoenix Lords are the Swooping Hawk dude, the Fire Dragons dude, wherever you call him, if that's the right name, and the Striking Scorpions fellow.
I believe so. I can look them up right now as we're talking about this.
No, old fluff from like the days of Epic, so it's probably not still a thing, but back in the day, wasn't it a thing that if the 6 Phoenix Lords came in one place, they could basically summon a super duper avatar of Cain?
Yep. They could also, they all gained each other's abilities too. This was actually a formation in 7th edition that was never like seen too much, but it was really, really, really cool. In fact, the Forge World avatar was meant to represent the avatar that they summoned. So Prince Uriel is the basic one, the basic troops. I cannot remember his name. Baharoth is the bird. Night Spinner is the sniper. Fugen is the fire dragon. Karandros is the striking scorpion. Osterman is the overall leader, but the what are their
Dire Avengers?
Dire Avengers. Mungden Ra is the Dark Reapers, and I don't know who the last one is.
I call that Sorry, I kind of zoned out what you're saying, and while I pulled up the list, so I might be repeating some. But Osterman for the Dire Avengers, Baharoth for the Swooping Hawks, Fugen for the Fire Dragons, Irilith for the Shadow Spectres, which vanished, Jainzar for the Howling Banshees, Karandras for the Striking Scorpions, so he did not create the shrine, Magen Ra for the Dark Reapers, Drastanta for the Shining Spears, currently missing, and Amon Harakit for the Eagle Pilots. And the Warp Spiders don't have one because lame. Not the Warp Spiders, but that is lame.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of so something interesting when you have all these different races. Like a lot of them all. So like their version of like the end times, the Ranadandra, is when all 6 Phoenix Lords come together. I find that amusing because the Ragnarok is supposed to be when all 6 of the greatest greatest clan leaders come together.
Lots of 6s going on.
Yeah, a lot of 6s. I mean,
Yeah.
there was 6 beasts, 6 attack moons during the Great Beast incident. There's 6 separate major orders of Sisters of Battle. I mean, we could keep going with all the 6s in 40k. There's quite a bit of them.
Wait,
Yeah,
does
so
this mean the Warp Spiders are the freebooters of the Eldar?
Yes.
well, that's the Corsair. Oh, okay.
No, I'm just
No.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, the
And
joke is that they're the ones that don't have a big boss.
Oh, okay. Oh. But one thing I do like about this is just they're like, "Yay, 3 Phoenix Lords show up." That means we're screwed, isn't it?
Yeah, 3 Phoenix Lords. We can't lose. Except if 3 more show up. Then we lose.
Sweats.
Yeah, they just start getting nervous.
Alright.
All right.
Wait, isn't there more than 6 of them?
Well,
It says all 6, so I guess there's only 6
let me pull
now.
up that damn list again. Give me a second. My bad. All right.
Because there's the
That's a-
pilots, the shining spears, the burbs, the fire dudes, the basic dudes.
6, 7, 8, 9. But hold on, let me see. So Asren, Baharoth, Fugan, Irlith. Alright, so we're not gonna count Irlith because they vanished. Janezar, Karandras, Malgan Ra, and Jastantes. But like even with the missing ones, it's still over 6, so I guess you just need 6 Phoenix Lords, but not all of them.
Huh.
Weird.
I think they forgot about the pilots and all of the other Phoenix Lords.
I think they just really, really wanted it to be 6.
Yeah, probably. Watch it be the 6 great Phoenix Lords.
Maybe like there's just a prophecy that when 6 Phoenix Lords show up, we're screwed.
Alright, so let's go ahead and continue.
With the 3 Phoenix Lords working together at the 4, BL-10 leveled the Swordwind with such vengeful ferocity, the demon hosts were broken and destroyed in the weeks that followed. Or in the weeks that followed, the human cultists upon nearby Khazar, whose ritual practicing leaders had conjured the demons into real space in the first place, were killed. The rest of the planet's population were slain by a psychic tempest unleashed by a conclave of Farseers and Warlocks that scoured their world clean of every last living thing. It was a display of raw power that lit the flame of war in the broken heart of BL-10 once more.
So basically, a bunch of Farseers and Warlocks can do a psychic exterminatus.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Why don't they do that all the time or something?
Yeah, that's
know,
the
maybe it's
same thing
dangerous,
with,
it's
like,
fine.
Exterminatus. Like, why not just Exterminatus every planet if you know that you
Well,
have a level of Exterminatus that keeps the natural resources of the planet?
Like, I don't know. Like, it's psychic powers, maybe it's dangerous, but still.
Like, I get that they're souped up now, like they're all Super Saiyan, but
Right,
at the
psychic.
same time, it's like, really? Like, not one person had the strength of will to negate that? Or at least protect themselves?
Maybe they were rolling like Riley in that one bat rep.
Oh my god, yeah.
Poor girl.
Alright, let's continue.
All right. Leaders of BL-10 learns much from the Exodite
Smut.
kings.
Continue, I'm sorry.
The leaders of BL-10 learned much from the Exodite kings of the 3 sisters. Conversely, many of the Maiden World's youthful warriors were entranced by the sight of the Phoenix Lords, though through these legendary leaders, many young and vital Exodites were convinced that their aid was of paramount importance. The hour was so dire that the Eldar race called upon every blade it could muster. Through their lieges raged at the betrayal. The young Exodites rode to war alongside the Swordwind, just as the BL-10 had worked tirelessly to defend the Maiden Worlds of their former empire. Now the Exodites would repay the debt in kind. So it's just like, you know, they're fighting against the Eldar are fighting, the Eldar are fighting against the Demons. The Demons think they have a chance. Then they wonder why they hear the Jurassic Park theme song.
That's their boss music is the Jurassic Park theme song.
Come on, GW, give us Eldar on dinosaurs.
Yo, seriously, like, we know that these are going to happen eventually because GW is going to run out of races and balance patches and everything. Just make them legends. Like, I would take that.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to make silly units like that, make them legends, and I'm okay with taking them in fun games.
Yeah, I mean, they are pushing from. I thought they were going to be kind of more moving out of cavalry, but then they give the Mechanicus horses. So I mean, and they have plenty of like dinosaur molds lying around from what's it called from fantasy. So yeah. Excellent models wouldn't be that far of a stretch.
Exactly. But we have been going on for over an hour and a half now, and I suggest that this is the point where we stop. So if you are listening, please give this video a thumbs up because it actually helps out the video. And if this video gets over 1,000 views, we're going to continue this series into the next part of Psychic Awakening Phoenix Rising, which is the first book in the series of Psychic Awakening. And I want to thank everybody for joining me, White, John, and Victor. You guys have been awesome, though Victor did have to step out. But
it's been fun.
Any parting words before we, leave this session?
Eldar on dinosaurs.
As someone who at first didn't really care for the Eldar, I will say this has kind of changed my mind and makes the Eldar actually a lot cooler than I originally gave them credit for. So, well done, GW.
I can agree with you on that one. I'm just happy they've been using it to, bring out all the new Sun Ash stuff that came out in AOS into 40k.
I'm also happy that they're not just making Sun Ash the punching bag. Like, Sun Ash is definitely killing a lot of Eldar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So, again, it's interesting. So, with that all said, I want to thank you guys again for watching. And if you're super awesome, check out my Patreon. Patreon goes a long way to help supporting the channel. It actually got me most of these books, so that's kind of cool. I want to thank each and every single one of my patrons. As always, you guys are awesome, and I love you. And, from all of us here, have a wonderful day.
Take care.
See ya.